The Polsky Practical Personal Enrichment Series is underwritten by the Polsky Family Supporting Foundation in partnership with the Johnson County Community College Foundation, which seeks to educate and empower the public in the areas of health, financial independence, and topical issues not covered elsewhere.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Good. Welcome to Johnson County Community College and welcome to the Polsky Theater. My name is Christy McWard. I am Director of Marketing and Event Management here at the college, and I am so pleased to have you here with us for tonight's Polsky Practical Personal Enrichment Series. Tonight, our topic is Ready or Not, It's Up to You, Smart, Simple Steps to Stay Safe. That's really hard to say. Say it 5 times fast. We've got Kathy Wing here. Kathy Wing is not only one of our best and brightest employees here at Johnson County Community College, but she's also a certified emergency preparedness trainer. And she is going to join us in just a few minutes to share with us some tips for staying safe, being prepared, and keeping our families and loved ones safe in unexpected emergencies. She's even going to touch on such things as widespread disasters, which I know sounds a little alarmist, but you're going to find that she gives probably some of the best tips you'll hear all year, best practical tips. So we'll bring her out in just a minute. I see some familiar faces in the audience. It's good to see some of our Polsky regulars here. If you are a first-time visitor with us, I do want to tell you a little bit about our series. The Polsky Practical Personal Enrichment Series was established in 1997 by the Norman and Elaine Polsky Family Supporting Foundation, and it is in partnership with the JCCC Foundation. And the series really seeks to educate and empower the public in the areas of education, health and wellness, financial stability, and other issues not covered elsewhere. Can we have the house lights come back up a little bit? I know Kathy's going to want to mingle and talk with the audience a little bit. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Before I I do want to tell you one thing. Back to the Polsky series. We are so proud and happy to have the continued support of the Polsky family as well. And they come to every event, and they're our biggest cheerleaders. And I want to give a shout out to them and say hi. They're back there. Could everybody wave? Larry, Elaine, Jen. So nice to see you. Thank you for all of your support. So before we bring Kathy out, I do want to tell you a few things that you have in your packets, highlighting some upcoming special events that we have. Next week, a week from tonight, here in the Polsky Theater, we are going to have best-selling author Tanner Colby here with us. And you may have heard of Tanner Colby. He wrote a very popular book called Some of My Best Friends Are Black, and he is going to have a conversation with some of our faculty here at 1 o'clock in the Polsky Theater on Wednesday, October 8th. That is free and open to the public, and I encourage you to come. So that is this information right here. You don't need to RSVP, you just come, we'll be happy to have you. There will also be a reception with Tanner afterward in the lobby, so you may get a chance to meet him and say hello. Also, another event I want to tell you about is our next Polsky Series event, and that is November 12th. And that will not be here in the theater because we have another event happening, but it will be in the Hudson Auditorium of the Nerman Museum. So if you know where the museum is, more on the east side of campus, it's in our Hudson Auditorium. And that will be part of our Veterans Week celebration here at the college, and it features Elizabeth Washburn. And Elizabeth is a native Kansas Cityan, but she now resides in San Diego, where she has started a program called Combat Arts. And she works with our veterans on art therapy projects and them learning how to express themselves and some of their experiences through art. And the work that she does with them is amazing, and there are tremendous stories that come out of this, and I hope you'll join us for that. She's also going to be working with some of our veteran students on campus that week too. So this is Wednesday, November 12th, so mark your calendar for that. You Polsky regulars don't need to me to tell you this because we already have your information, but this green card is for anybody who might be new and we don't already have some information from you. We want to be able to let you know about our upcoming events, and we also want to hear what you like and want to hear at future Polsky Series events. We're always planning for the future. We always want to know what you'd like. We also would like to know what you think about tonight's presentation. So please, these are great for your feedback, and we never share your information with anyone else. So if you give us your email or your mailing address, we protect it, and we only send you Polsky information. The blue cards, again, Polsky regulars, you know the blue cards. These are for any questions that you might have for Kathy, our speaker, later tonight. Now, you're going to be able to ask Kathy questions. She's going to open it up after the presentation, and you can ask her anything directly. But we also recognize that maybe some people are a little shy and may not want to ask the question directly themselves, and I'm happy to do that for you at the end if we have time. So if you're sitting there listening to Kathy and you come up with a question, feel free to write it on a blue card, hand it to an usher, and they'll bring it to me, and if I'm at all able, I'll try to get it in after Kathy's Q&A. Okay, let's bring out Kathy Wing. Again, I said that she is one of our best and brightest here at JCCC, and that is true. She's one of my favorite people. She is nice, she is smart, and she is extremely competent, and you're going to really enjoy her presentation. Kathy's passion for emergency preparation began when she participated in the Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT, training here through JCCC. Learning what to do and how to make use of simple, everyday items in emergency situations was intriguing, and she soon became the CERT liaison for the college and coordinated training events with the Overland Park Fire Department. Since then, she received training to present the Community College Preparedness Program, also known as C3P2, sponsored by FEMA and Homeland Security. Kathy is also certified for A.Li.C.E training, which stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, Evacuate. I'm having a lot of hard things to say tonight, I just want to say. Armed Intruder training here at, and she co-leads the building emergency team here at JCCC's campus, specifically in the Rainier Center. Besides facilitating C3P2 and A.Li.C.E training, Kathy is a program coordinator in JCCC's continuing education branch, where I'm proud to have her as a colleague. Her education includes a bachelor's in business administration and a master's of arts in education. Please help me give a warm welcome to Kathy Wing.
Thank you, Christy, and thank you all for coming here this evening. I am so excited to be here. I've had a great time preparing this presentation, and I'm just really happy to be able to share with you this evening. As Christy said, I have this passion for emergency preparedness, and I'm not exactly sure where it comes from. Some people think it's a little weird, and that's okay. It's not the disasters I get excited about, it's preparing for them. And I really have a good peace of mind knowing that our family has a plan and a kit so that if something unexpected happens, we're ready to deal with it. I like to be creative and find new uses for everyday things. I like to be thrifty. So I'm going to share ideas with you this evening to help you get started on your plan and your kit, and in ways that you don't have to spend a lot of money. And it can be simple steps, just like we said here. To start this evening, though, we're going to do a little story. So if you're comfortable, close your eyes, and I want you to imagine a situation with me. You're at home. It's a weeknight in May. It's about sunset, and it's still 85 degrees, one of the warmest days you've had so far. Think about who would be with you at home, just on a typical weeknight. Now, the area has been under a tornado watch since 3 o'clock this afternoon, but there haven't been any storms, nothing unusual, So you really haven't had to do anything different than you regularly would. And then all of a sudden, you realize that you can hear the tornado siren going off. So you go to the TV, right, to see what Gary's saying. You go to the TV, and before you can even figure out what he's talking about, you start to hear a roar. And it's the wind, and it's building quickly. And all of a sudden, you realize you don't have time to stand there and look at the TV. You need to get to your safe place. So that's what you do. So think about where your safe place is. Well, the noise just gets louder, and you realize what they say is true. Tornadoes sound like a freight train. Not only that, you can hear breaking glass, and you can feel the jar of heavy things hitting your house and falling. After what seems like forever, it finally gets quiet again, and you can feel fresh air. It's a lot cooler than it was before. Temperatures dropped over 20 degrees. Now think for a moment. You can open your eyes. Are you wearing shoes? Seems like a simple question, but if you don't normally wear shoes all the time at home, maybe you're not. As you start to get out of your safe area, your leg brushes against a piece of broken glass, and it starts to bleed. Can you reach your first aid kit easily to take care of it right away? You finally get out of your house, and this is what you see. As far as you can see right now, this is what your neighborhood looks like. So you realize this has been a major event. You know the power's out. And you realize you're going to be on your own for a while. Then you look up and you realize that there's another storm on the way. Thunder, lightning, thunder's getting louder. You're going to have to do something. So let's think about some things you might need. First of all, how about a radio? Battery operated or crank radio so that you can find out exactly what's going on. How about a tarp or some sort of plastic sheeting so that you could fix a shelter to stay out of the rain that's coming? A flashlight. Remember, it's about dark, it's stormy, there's all this debris around, and you don't want to be traipsing around and hurting yourself, so you need a flashlight to make your way through the mess. And what about a change of clothes? Could you grab those easily if you needed to? If you got drenched in this rain that's coming right away, it's pretty miserable to be in wet clothes for an extended length of time. Where's your purse or your wallet? How about your car keys? Now, your car may not be drivable, but there might be things in your car that you need, so you'd want to have those keys handy. Where's your phone? Is it working? Is it charged up? And let's say your phone isn't working. Either you can't find it or it's damaged. But your neighbor crawls out of his house and his phone's working. Do you know the numbers of the people that you need to reach without looking at them in your phone? Some things to think about. What about food and water? Do you have enough to tide you over until help can come? And what about these guys? They're family too, right? Do you have what you need to take care of them? If you decide that it's really not safe to stay where you are there in your house, and so you decide to walk out of the neighborhood to get to a safer place, do you have something that you can leave a note with so it won't get wet and damaged, but so that when searchers come through, they won't be needlessly searching through the rubble for you? Or if your friends or family members come to search for you, they'll know where you are. Putting a note in a plastic bag could be a really good idea. Even if your front door was askew, you could tape it on there somewhere obvious to let people know where you are. So let's backtrack a minute here. You knew you were under a tornado watch since 3 o'clock that afternoon. What are some things that we should do when we're under a watch to help step up our level of readiness so that if something happens and it turns into a warning, we're ready to go? Well, first of all, wear shoes. And you know what? Flip-flops don't count. You don't want to be traipsing around in all that broken glass and flip-flops. Everyone's plan and kit is going to be different. And at our house, our kit is in our safe area. So if we have to go to our safe area in a hurry, it's there. But I know that's not true for everyone. Your safe area might be a hallway bathroom, and there's just not room to keep that stuff in there all the time. But in a tornado watch, go get it and put it there. Then if you have to get in there in a hurry, it'll be there and ready to go. Keep your cell phone charged up. That way you'll have the best possible chance of contacting people and figuring out what's going on after the event. And really think about where everyone is. When that watch is issued, you may be all at home, but you might have people that are here taking an evening class, or they're at church, or at a club meeting, or at a movie. Have some idea of where everyone is so it will be easier for everyone to get back together after the event. Now, I'm not here to scare you, and I know this stuff is scary. I'm here to make you think, to inspire you, to motivate you, to take some steps to get ready so that when something happens, you'll be better prepared to handle it. And I know it's scary to think about. You know, we just don't want to think about those things because they're not fun, they're very unpleasant, and we just don't want them to happen. Just because you prepare for it doesn't mean it's going to happen, though, so we still need to take those steps. We're also very busy. It's so easy to put this off because there's just never enough time. And I want to say right now, and I'll repeat it this evening, don't wait to do this until you can do it all at once perfectly, because that's not the way to do it. You want to do it, as my title says, simple steps. Start, keep building, keep working on it, and then you may even have things that come up that you think, oh, I hadn't thought of that before, and you'll add something totally new 2 years from now. So really, it's an ongoing process. You heard my bio, and Christy was very kind in her introduction. I do have training in emergency preparedness, and I enjoy learning more about it, preparing for things that might happen, but that's not my vocation. And really, I'm just like you, an ordinary citizen. And I have a family, I have work, I have hobbies, I'm doing the same kinds of things that you're doing. The main difference probably right now is that I have an increased level of awareness because of the training I have. But other than that, I'm with you. Do we have any first responders in our audience this evening? This would be primarily fire personnel, police personnel, EMTs. Okay, I'm not really seeing any hands. And did you know that only 1% of the United States population is trained as a first responder? So what does that mean? It means in a large-scale event, we are the first responders. We're going to be on our own for a while. Now, we're used to calling 911 and having that 5 to 7 minute response time. It won't be that way in the event of a large-scale emergency. There's going to be a lot going on, and you may have to wait until people can get to you. So we also have to work on our mindset of waiting to be rescued. You don't have to wait to be rescued. You can do whatever you can to take care of yourself and your family right at the time, especially if you're prepared to do so. Now, there are different levels of preparedness, and I'll tell you right now, what we're talking about this evening is not for the apocalypse, okay? It's more for medium-scale things, and actually what you'll probably find is that when you do your preparation, that these things that you put in your kit and think about ahead of time will come in handy for just small incidences. And that's okay, because we want to be prepared for several different things. Does anyone's refrigerator ever look like that? Let's say you're on your way home and then you hear that, oh goodness, there's a snowstorm on the way, and it's swung our way now instead of going south like they predicted. And you were going to stop at the store tonight, but now what do? Because you really want to get home before the weather gets any worse, but you know, butter and Worcestershire sauce, not so great. This is why you want to be prepared and have your supplies stocked in already. You don't want to be out there fighting the crowds. The shelves are going to be bare. You know how it is. You go to the grocery store when a snowstorm's coming and everybody's in there and trying to grab everything, and the milk and the bread are all gone, and you go to the hardware store and there's no snow melt, and the snow shovels are all gone. So you don't want to be in that position. This is why you want to prepare ahead of time. So the objectives for this evening are to be ready for the unexpected, to know that it's a process, and that you're going to start now. And you've got an excellent start because you're here tonight. You have in your packet some handouts, and I'll get to these as we go along. One of the handouts is the PowerPoint presentation, and it has some lines at the side, so you're welcome to take notes. But I'll tell you that a lot of the information is already in those handouts. It's also available online, so don't feel like you have to write down a lot of things, but any notes that you'd like to take are fine. So let's boil this down. Make it simple, right? 3 steps. Just 3 steps will get you going. Be informed. Make a plan. Make a kit. So, be informed, make a plan, and make your kit. Those 3 things will get you going well on your way. When it comes to being informed, there are a lot of different ways. I Googled emergency preparedness, came up with 13.5 million results in less than half a second. I could read those for the rest of my life and never get through it all. So there's a lot of information out there. Some of it is much better than others, so you have to really look at it carefully. You have to be a critical thinker, and you have to use common sense. Some of the information can be very good. Some of it won't apply to you at all, so you have to sort that out. One place to look is our 3CP2 blog, and Christy mentioned these classes that we have. This is a screenshot of the blog. And this particular one has our training dates coming up. So the next session is actually on Tuesday, October 14th, and it's over in the Rainier Center right here on campus. Free, open to anyone. You can just call the phone number listed there to register. You could come to a class to be more informed. You can also look at other places on this blog for a lot of resources and links that I've gathered. Now, I'm not perfect. I can't say that, everything you need to know is here. But this will give you a good start to some reliable sources for information. Another thing you can do to be informed is to get some training. Take a first aid class, CPR, AED. That way you can help people in the event of a large emergency, or you might be able to help someone that collapsed while you were at the movies or at a ball game. Having that level of training will help you be better prepared to treat anyone when the time comes. You need to know where to shut off your utilities. Does everyone know where to go to flip the main breaker for their circuit box for their electricity? Do you know how to turn off the gas? That requires generally a special tool. It's a rather large wrench, but you can get an adjustable wrench that'll do the job as well. How about your water? The water is probably something that we really need to turn off more often than anything else because the dishwasher overflowed or the hose on the washing machine broke, so you need to know where to go and turn it off. Now, I've got a story about that. A few years ago, we were visiting my brother and his family, and the kids, all the cousins were together, and they were having a grand old time playing dodgeball in the basement. And the noise level was pretty loud, but all of a sudden it got a lot louder. And then we heard all these footsteps coming up the stairs. And the kids are all yelling, "There's water pouring into the basement." So we all went downstairs to look, and there was water pouring into the basement. So the natural thing is to go over and turn it off, right? The pipe broke just above the shutoff. Full force water pouring into the basement. So some of us started gathering up brooms and trash cans and garbage bags, and we're trying to encourage the water to go to the floor drain. The guys all went outside to find the water meter to turn it off there. Did I mention that it had snowed a few days before? And that they had only lived in this house for 2 weeks. So it wasn't like my brother had been out there mowing around this water meter for summer after summer and knew right where to go. It took them a while. They did get it shut off, and everything turned out fine. But that brings up another point. If you're moving, that's one of the first things you want to check out, is where to turn off your utilities, and make sure you can do that quickly and easily when you need to. Information can go more than one direction, right? So you've probably heard this before. If you see something, say something. The authorities would much rather have something turn out to be very simple and easily explained than miss an important clue that might be that last piece of the puzzle that prevents a major event from happening. Be aware of current conditions. Like this evening, we have weather in the area, and I'm sure most of us have been monitoring that to make sure that it's safe to be out and about. There's a good way to do that. It's called Notify JOCO. It's available here in Johnson County, but you don't have to live in Johnson County to use it. There's a handout in your packet that looks like this that has all the information on how to sign up. And what it is a area notification service. You can sign up to be notified by phone, either your home or cell, by text or by emails to find out about things that are happening in this area. It might be weather related. It might be related to the water being unsafe to drink and that there's a boil order that's been issued. A lot of different things. So check that out, because that's a really good way to stay in touch with rapidly changing conditions. Let's move on to make a plan. First of all, you want to determine where your safe area is. And for a lot of us around here, that's our basement or that interior room of the house. But wherever that is for you, make sure everybody knows about it. And then talk about where to meet in case you can't meet at the house. So for our family, there's a shopping center about 2 blocks away. And if our house was destroyed or if the neighborhood was cordoned off for some reason, we would meet in the parking lot in front of Tuesday Morning. And we all know that. It's also good to have an out-of-town contact. When something like this happens, you never know for sure what the phone lines are going to be doing. You just don't know if you'll be able to use your landline or if the cell towers might be down. You might be able to call, but you might not be able to do that and have to text. So it's nice to have various ways to get in touch with people. For our family, our out-of-town contact is my brother. That's Hansel and Dina. And so if something happened, and let's say I'm here at work, and my husband works at various locations all around town, so I never know where he's going to be during the day. And so does our son. So if something happened here on the campus and I couldn't reach them, I call my brother. This is Kathy. We had a tornado here, but I'm fine. Have you heard from anybody else? No. My husband calls. Well, I heard there was something going on at the campus. Have you heard from Kathy? Yes, she's fine. Same thing with my son. That way you can find out what's going on and relay that information, even if you can't reach the people that are fairly local but affected by whatever has happened. So talking about this plan and your contact, there's another handout. It should be 2 pages, and it's called Family Emergency Plan. On one page, there's all kinds of blanks here that you can fill out. You don't have to fill them all out. Just enter what works for you. And this is your overall plan. On the next page are some little contact cards, and there's a set of 4 there. So you can cut these out, fill out the information, and what I did was fold it in half and laminate it with packing tape. I like to be very inexpensive whenever I can, but you can get laminating kits if you really want to do that. And then everybody in our family has one of those. It's laminated so that it won't get messed up if it gets wet. And then if we had that situation and that our phone wasn't working, we would have all those contact numbers right there ready to go. So feel free to use that. If you want more, if you go out to the blog, the 3CP2 blog, there's a link there that will take you to that file and you can print more. And as I mentioned earlier, you just don't know what's going to happen in the particular situation, so it's nice to have those alternatives. Then you have to share the plan. So here's our family, here's my brother and his wife, and we have this reciprocal agreement to do this. Now let's talk about your kit. On the back of the Notify JoCo handout is a list. This is just to get you started. Your list will look different. There may be some things on here you wouldn't dream of putting in your kit. And there are probably some that need to be on there that aren't listed here. So this is to get you started. Everybody's plan is going to look different, and it needs to be tailored to your needs. Now, this doesn't have to be expensive, like I said. I like to recycle small containers for the small items in my kit so they don't just fall to the bottom and get all mixed up. So things like batteries and matches and Band-Aids go in these separate little containers. But you can use coupons. I had a young couple in one of my 3CP2 classes a couple of years ago that emailed me a few weeks later to say that they had started their list of everything they needed. They were on a very tight budget. And every week they would look at the grocery ads, see what was on sale, and buy a couple of items, cross them off the list. And before long, they had a kit that was well equipped. You can also shop the clearance aisle. You can get things at garage sales, estate sales, and I'll bet if you go home right now and start digging around a little bit, you might find a lot of things tucked away that you could put in your kit that would be very useful. The question then is how much? There's a general rule that says we should prepare to have food and water for 72 hours. It's 3 days. There's nothing totally magic about that, but most of the time you would expect to be rescued in that amount of time, so that would be enough to get you by. Try to use multi-purpose items so you don't have to have so much in your kit. You don't want it to be burdensome because you might need to move it from time to time. It does need to be in a container, though, and so you can see we actually have 2 containers in our safe area because family of 4. So this is what everything looks like in there, and you can nest it in pretty good if you get creative with it. Why is it so important to have it in a container? Disasters are messy. If you don't realize that, just watch the news. Now this is our daughter's car, and a couple of years ago we had a hailstorm come through the area, and it did a major problem there on the back of her car. Being a college student, there was some stuff in there, like her books, all of her schoolwork for the entire semester, clothes, music. So we set up a staging area in the garage. Everything was wet because it had rained on it and also the hail had melted. And there was also this little stuff off our neighbor's tree because it was April and these little buds had been on there and they were just mixed in with everything. So here I am, something out of the trunk, over the garbage can. Brush off the glass, all the stuff. Can we save this? Yes, no. And we did have to throw some things away. Some of those clothing items I was not going to put through my washing machine, and I didn't want to risk her having a piece of glass show up later on. Anything that we thought we could salvage, then we laid out on garbage bags in the garage. And by the time the evening was over, we had papers all over the entire house trying to dry them out. And I remember thinking at the time, this is just one small area. I can't imagine what it would be like if our entire house had been damaged. It would just be overwhelming. And I already had my kid at the time, and I also thought about my stuff is in a container with the lid. So I wouldn't be in my kitchen, or what was left of it, digging through the glass and the dirt and the insulation, or whatever else the storm had kicked up, trying to salvage something to eat or drink. The other reason that you want to put your items in a container is so that you can take them with you easily. If you needed to evacuate your house and you're going to a shelter or even to a friend's house or to a hotel, you would take your container of your emergency kit with you because it has those things in there that you really will need. Let's get serious, people, here. There's nothing wrong with putting comfort items in your kit. So there is chocolate in mine. And if it's a bottle of wine for you, that is perfectly fine too. You need sustenance. Water is primary. And the rule on that is 1 gallon per person per day for 3 days. That's quite a bit of water, but you really do need to have that on hand. As far as food, this is what I do. I consider this buying ahead for things that I'm going to use anyway. And I cycle it through, just rotate it through from time to time so that things don't expire. Now you can go out to places like Sam's and Costco and a lot of places online, and you can order survival kits with all kinds of supplies in them, and they're labeled with things like protein. They're very expensive. I'm not sure my family would like them. And so for us, this works best. If you'd like to go that route, that's fine. You might want to check it out and see if that would work for you. But for us, we keep things like peanut butter, crackers. I've got some fruit cups in there, raisins, that sort of thing. Now, what are you going to do about the waste? I mean, first of all, you've got trash to deal with, so a few trash bags will take care of that, right? What if your water isn't working or the sewer system isn't working for an extended period of time? Well, here's one option: a bucket and garbage bags, and that will work. It's not necessarily the most comfortable thing, and especially if you have children, it could be quite a challenge. So here's an idea. It involves your own toilet, some trash bags, and kitty litter. You turn the water off at the toilet, you flush it to drain all the water, and then you line the bowl with trash bags. And go ahead and put several in there, and then add a little bit of kitty litter. People can go, shut the lid, add more kitty litter, whatever you need to do. And then when the time comes, you just lift the whole thing out and get it out of the area so that you don't have to deal with the odor. But kitty litter works really great because it dries up the liquid and helps control the smell, and yet you can still use your toilet pretty much as you would normally. Now, in your kit, you'll need some things to help you stay informed. So Notify Joco is an option. So if your phone's still working, you might still be getting text on that. A radio, either battery powered or hand crank. And of course your phone. One of the hardest things about a large-scale disaster is the waiting and not knowing what's going on, because when you walk out of your house after that tornado, and it looks like it did in that picture we saw earlier, you don't really know how widespread it is at that time. You don't know if it was a very narrow path or if it was a mile wide and went for 3 miles long. So finding out what's going on will help you know what to expect, because if you're going to be stuck there for a while, you might want to fashion some sort of shelter. You might want to take that plastic sheeting and some duct tape and some rope and make a little tent or something so that you could stay where you were. It's really hard to go somewhere because the roads are all blocked by all the debris, and even if you could drive, you'd get a flat tire pretty quickly because of all the nails and things. So you might be stuck there for a little bit. All of those items do require recharging though, so you want to have plenty of batteries. Keep your phone chargers handy, and it's good to have your car charger handy too, because you might be able to run your automobile or vehicle to charge up something for the short term. We also have a solar panel in our kit, so if even on a cloudy day it will work, and it will charge AA batteries, and we can also plug a laptop or phones into it. So that's one of the more specialized things that we've invested in. You'll also want things for safety and comfort. Now, as I said, almost everything you're going to see here tonight is on that list, but that list is just to get you started. But just to go over some things. For one thing, you want to stay clean, and you probably don't want to use very much of your water for washing up. So it's a good idea to have wipes, personal wipes, and then the sanitizing wipes, like the Clorox ones you see there, are very good. You want your first aid kit, of course. And then things that you might find in your medicine cabinet. Some antacid tablets, pain relievers, antibiotic ointment, those sorts of things. Maxi pads. Besides the obvious use for those, they make excellent bandages. If you have a major wound, that will take care of it a lot easier than putting 10 Band-Aids on there. And don't forget your personal care items like toilet paper, toothbrushes, and that sort of thing. A change of clothes is always good. As I said before, it's miserable to be in wet clothing for a very extended period of time. And then something to do. Books, puzzle books, just something that will help pass the time if you're just sitting around waiting. Some tools. Think multi-purpose now. So I have a multi-purpose tool here that is pliers. It's got a couple of different screwdrivers on it, of course, knife, bottle opener. It even has scissors built into it. I have another, just a regular, like a box knife here, some really heavy-duty scissors. A couple of pairs of safety glasses are a really good idea, especially if you're going to be moving stuff around and there's all this broken glass and debris that you might be dealing with. You want to stay safe. You don't want to make things any worse than they already are. The commando saw up there is pretty cool too. It's just basically some wire put together, but if you had even a small tree branch that was blocking something or creating a trip hazard, you could just saw that back and forth and get rid of something like that to make things safer. Duct tape, love duct tape. You can do all kinds of things with that. Garbage bags, work gloves, you see the tarps and that sort of thing there. So these are all good things to have in your kit. Here I have a small battery-operated radio, and then these things are really good. These are light sticks, and you can find them in the camping aisle or in the kids section. These are those glow sticks that you see the kids wear at the fair or at an amusement park or something like that. So think about it. If you were in total darkness, you really don't want to run your flashlight batteries down any more than you have to, but you can open up one of those and it'll cast just a little bit of a glow to make it a little bit more bearable to be in the dark. Also have some rope, some waterproof matches there, flashlight, batteries. Now what about your kids or babies, any small young children? You need to plan for them too. And this will be a very traumatic time for everybody, but you can imagine especially so for children. One of the recommendations is to have a small backpack for each child. And if you wanted, you could even have them help you put it together. Put some of their favorite snacks in there, some toys, games, books, a stuffed animal, something that would help comfort them in case of an emergency. And of course, if it's a really young child, if you have babies, you're going to have to think about diapers and formula, extra water, and all of that sort of thing for them too. Special needs can be at any age. And you just need to think about this as your household. This is one of the things that will make your kit different than mine. Prescription medications, diabetic supplies, asthma inhalers, if anyone has a need for oxygen or a wheelchair, a walker or a cane, and then any special dietary needs. If you have someone that's gluten intolerant, you might want to have their snacks separate from everyone else's. And this can change from time to time. Let's say someone in your family just had knee surgery. and it's April, and it's tornado season in Tornado Alley. Will they be able to get down the steps to the safe area? You might want to move the safe area temporarily to that upstairs interior bathroom so that they can get there safely. We mentioned our pets earlier. They're a big part of our family, and so you want to prepare for them. They need food, they need water, you need the bowls to feed and water them with. You might want to have that crate or an extra leash ready to go. Puppy pads or newspapers for your dog, and kitty litter for your cat. And then something that's very important is their vaccination papers, because if you have to leave and go to a shelter, many shelters do accept animals now, but not without their vaccination papers. So good idea to make a copy of those, put it in a Ziploc bag inside the kit. It's ready to go if you need it. Now, you never know for sure on a big event how long things are going to be out of commission. So these are some other items that could help you get through that. First of all, cash in small bills. You know, you don't know if the ATMs will be working. You don't even know if stores are going to be open, but some cash might get you some things that you didn't have in your kit or that came up unexpectedly. I mentioned the papers for your pets. Well, people have papers too that are very important to us. So there's a couple of different things you can do on that. First of all, you can copy them and put them in the Ziploc bag, just like I mentioned before. But you could also store them on a flash drive or in the cloud somewhere so that you could access them once things were up and running again. And maps. These are almost a thing of the past, but it really is important to keep a map around. At least one in your car, but even one in your house is a good idea. How many of us take the same way to work every day? Same way to the grocery store? What if you can't go that way? And we have all these lovely neighborhoods up here with all the cul-de-sacs and the circles. And I know I've been, hunting a garage sale or an estate sale from time to time, and I find myself just going in circles because I can't find the exit. So having a map will help you find your way out if you have to take a different way. And here's a couple more things that are just good to know. You can drink the water from your water heater. There's a spigot on the side, so you need to have a container to catch it with, but that will help supply you with water. And if you do live near a pond or a lake or a stream and you think you might try to drink that water at some point, I highly recommend having some water purification tablets. The last thing you want is tummy troubles at a time like this. I mentioned before updating your kit, so you want to look at those expiration dates. You can set this on your calendar to go down and check your supplies and make sure everything's up to date, bring some things upstairs, take the new stuff downstairs or wherever that kit might be. But a lot of times the news is what reminds me, and I'll think, oh, you know what, it's been 3 months since I looked at that stuff, I better go look. And what really reminded me recently was Toledo, Ohio. You may have seen this on the news. 400,000 people couldn't drink the water for 48 hours. And they couldn't even boil it. So couldn't give it to their pets, couldn't drink it, couldn't even bathe children in it. Yes, they were handing out water, but you had to go stand in line to get it, and even that was limited. So once again, if you have this laid in ahead of time, you don't have to worry about getting in that situation. I mentioned multi-purpose items, trash bags, great for a lot of different things besides the obvious. They work as a blanket. If you have someone that's going into shock and you need to maintain their body temperature, use it as a blanket. It can be a rain poncho, can do all sorts of things for you. You might have some valuables that have been exposed to the weather. You could put things in that and start retrieving some of those items. Plastic wrap. Did anybody notice the plastic wrap that was in the other photo? Okay, this is not to store our leftover spam, okay? Plastic wrap is one of those multi-purpose items that I learned about in CERT training. If you had that person that needed to maintain the body temperature and you were out of trash bags, you can wrap them in plastic wrap and it'll do the same thing. If you twist it up, it's very strong, can work like a rope, but you could make a sling out of it. You could strap that maxi pad on your arm with it. Lots of different things you can do with plastic wrap. An adjustable wrench, any kind of small tools that don't take a lot of space but that are multi-purpose, you don't know what you're going to be dealing with. So if you just have some tools in that kit, it can be very helpful. A brightly colored handkerchief. You can wave it to catch someone's attention. You can use it as a dust mask so that you're not breathing smoke or dust or whatever it is that's in the air. You can use it as a sling, also to wrap those bandages. Kitty litter, I think we've pretty well covered that, but you know, it also is excellent traction in winter weather, and it will soak up oil, so if you had something spilled, you could put it on that too. And of course, my all-time favorite is still duct tape, because you can mend things, you can put things together, you can get it in colors, so you could use it to leave a message if you needed to on the outside of your house. And so lots of different things you can do with that. Phone apps. These are available for Android or Apple products, so lots of different things out there that you can get, and a variety of things. So just go out and check to see what might be useful for you. First of all, there's a flashlight app that's very handy. I use it sometimes when I go out to the mailbox, and it just helps me get out there safely. But especially if the lights go off suddenly somewhere, then you can use that flashlight app to get safely to, let's say you were in a store and all the lights went out. You could get safely to the end of the aisle without running into someone or stepping on something. There are also several apps for the weather. I was checking mine this evening, and you can get a lot of different variations on that. And then the Red Cross has a shelter finder app. So if your phone's working and you need to find out where the shelters are, you could go to that app and save yourself some time and trouble of trying to search out where the best shelter would be for you. Now, the Red Cross has these shelters designated way ahead of time, but you never know which ones are going to be put into use because it depends on the situation. So this is a really good one to have if you need to seek a shelter. Now let's do another little story, but you don't have to close your eyes for this one. Let's say that there's a snowstorm, and it started in the afternoon, and it was much heavier than they thought. Got about 8 inches on the ground, and it's still really coming down heavily, and you're on your way home, but you've got 3 miles to go. So you're not quite there yet. And it has been slower and slower and slower, and finally you don't think you've moved any in the last 90 minutes. And then you see people getting out of their cars. And you're thinking, well, if they're leaving their car, where am I going to go? So should you stay or should you go? Well, it depends. What do you have in your car? Do you have that map? Are you on that usual route? Or was a road blocked already and you had to take a detour? What do you have in the car to live on until help comes? Do you have some food and water? How much gas is in your tank? By the way, the recommendation is to fill your gas tank when it hits the halfway point. And if you are going to sit there and run the engine to stay warm, and it's snowing, you need to get out from time to time and check to make sure that the snow isn't bunching up around your muffler. You don't want to be asphyxiated. Would it make a difference if you were really close to an exit? If you could see that sign that said, there's a convenience store at the next exit, and maybe you could even see it over there. Well, that depends, because are you dressed for the weather? Are you one of these people that just runs from the house to the car and doesn't put a coat on? What kind of shoes are you wearing? And again, flip-flops do not count. What kind of physical condition are you in? Because walking through snow is not easy. And to be safe, walking along the roadside, you need to be well off the road. And it may be a lot deeper over there. And if you do leave, once again, it's good to leave a note, because somebody eventually is going to come along to your car there and they won't know where you are. So, plastic bag, a little bit of duct tape to stick it to the car window, and you can let people know that You either walked for it or you got a ride. This is my car kit, and it's actually right up here today. Keep this in the car at all times. I also have a couple of towels and a large garbage bag there. Just standard fare for us. And when you think about your car kit, it's basically just a smaller version of what you have in your house. You're probably not going to get 3 days worth of stuff in there, but you're going to get enough in there to get by. So we have things like bandages, pain relievers, some vinyl gloves, good old duct tape, some hand warmers and work gloves, a deck of cards. Again, if you're just sitting there in the car, time passes pretty slowly. Some hand sanitizer. I carry an extra ice scraper, once again, those light sticks, and an extra stocking cap and gloves. And there's a trash bag in that bag too. Tools, I have a little folding shovel. It's actually the size of a garden spade, but at least it folds up so it goes in the kit easier. And I have another multi-purpose tool in that kit as well. Some small bills. And I carry dog food in my kit. I do not have a dog. So why would I carry dog food in my kit? I would eat it if I had to. Studies have shown that people tend to overestimate how soon they're going to be rescued. And so they go through their food too fast. But I can guarantee you I would eat the one, especially that says Mom's Turkey Dinner, before I'd go out hunting for berries and bugs. So it's in there. I could also use it if I came across a dog that was really scared because whatever event had happened had, he'd run away and wasn't acting normally, and I might be able to calm a dog and prevent a bite or at least help the dog out. A kit for work. Now, this doesn't have to be work. It can be anywhere that you spend a lot of time. So it might be somewhere that you volunteer regularly. Just anywhere that you spend a lot of time, it's a good idea to have some things. Shoes and a change of clothes are good. I keep up my old walking shoes in a drawer here at work. Now, I don't wear stilettos or fancy shoes very often, but I do have a couple of pairs that I wouldn't want to spend 3 days in. So I've got those shoes in the drawer, change of clothes. Some water and snacks, always a good idea as well. And once again, in a container. You can grab and go. By the way, if you leave your car in that snowstorm, take your bag with you. Now, we've covered this part pretty quickly, so I want to stop here and do a little bit of review. We have our 3 steps. Be informed. Make your plan. Make a kit. Sounds like something you can do? Okay. I'm going to give you 4 bonus tips tonight. We'll go through these very quickly. And this is very timely. This was in here all along before the storms tonight. Do not drive into water. You see this picture here. That could be underneath that water because the roadway will erode due to the rushing water. You can't always tell how deep it is. You don't know what else is under there. Could be logs or rocks or any number of things. And it doesn't take very much water to float a car. You can be out of control in no time. I don't know anybody here in this area that has a rudder on their car. So, if you don't have all 4 wheels on the ground, you're totally out of control. The next thing I want to talk about is A.Li.C.E. And Christy mentioned this, and I'm on the team of A.Li.C.E. trainers here at the college. This is the response we have for an armed intruder. And some of you may have heard a few weeks ago we had an incident on campus where we thought there might be someone with a weapon. So we put this into practice, and I can tell you it works. We learned some things that we still need to work on a little bit, but overall it worked very well. The key to it is to remember A.Li.C.E. That's an acronym for these items, but you have to know that you don't have to do these in order. In fact, in that type of a situation, if you can, we want you to evacuate. And this can be put into place no matter where you are. It doesn't have to be here on campus. It's just good knowledge to have. So if you find out that something has happened and you're far enough away that you can get away safely, go that opposite direction and get to safety as quickly as you can. The alert is for finding out the information initially. So once again, staying informed of current events. You might get a text, You might hear something over a PA to alert you to the fact that something's going on. Lockdown. If you don't know where this thing is happening, so you can't be sure that you can evacuate safely, you might need to lock down and secure in place. And you'll just make the best of whatever situation that is. You never know what it's going to be. Lock the door. Put things in front of it, any furniture you can, to slow this person down in case they get to your door. Inform. Again, the information can go both ways. You might be the one who sees someone that is acting suspiciously or obviously has a weapon. Or things may be changing, and you can call that in to let people know. Maybe the first time you heard the report, they were in one location, but now all of a sudden you either see a second person or you know it's the same one and they've moved to your area. That information is vital. Counter is the last resort. We all hope we don't have to do this. But if you're in that position where you're right with this person, don't just give up. Fight back. Throw something at them. Anything you can do to throw them off. Yell, scream, run away if you can, but don't just sit there and take it. Like I say, we really hope that these situations don't happen, but we continually see that they are repeated. So it's good to know that you have options. And the more you know, the more you stay informed about what's going on, the better decisions that you can make to stay safe. On a lighter note, when you go to bed at night, take these things with you. I used to always drop my purse off in the kitchen because I came in from the garage and I put my purse down and that's where it stayed. And then I got some of this training and I was like, well, you know, if I had to leave suddenly in the night, I'd want to take my purse with me and I don't want to have to go all the way across the house to the kitchen to get it. So now I keep it by the bed at night. Takes a while to build that habit up, but it's a good one to have. And finally, you're going to love this. My son's here tonight, and I can tell you, he's been getting duct tape in his stocking for years. And he's been very creative with it, so I know what you can do with it. These make great gifts, and it might seem a little weird, but you know, if you have that person that's really hard to buy for, this might be an option. You could start out with like a car kit and get them a container to put it in and put an item or two in it, and then just keep adding to it. And I mentioned earlier, I get feedback from these 3 CP2 classes, and a couple of years ago, I had a woman in my class who had like 8 children and something like 40 grandchildren. And she emailed me after the class and said that she had made like 60 kits for all of her kids, their spouses, and all these grandchildren. She was, you know, she just wanted them to have those for their cars. So you don't have to go to that extreme, but it is an idea, you know, a multi-purpose tool, and especially at Christmas time, you know, gifts for guys, you know, look at all that stuff because there might be some really good things in there. All right, have I made you think? Given you some ideas for things? Well, you've already started because you're here tonight, and some of you may already have kits and plans, and if you do, that's great. I hope you've maybe picked up a couple of extra tips to add to that. The key, as I said before, is to keep working on it. It'll never be entirely finished because there'll always be something new coming up that you hadn't thought of before, but you can do it. It's not that hard. And you will be very glad that you did. All right. That wraps up my portion.
Let's give Kathy a hand.
Thank you.
I'm sure many of you have plenty of questions, and I know I'm going to go home and buy a kitty litter, so I don't know about you on the way home. But you have time to answer some questions.
I do.
If any of you have not yet given one of our ushers a blue card, please do so now. But feel free to start the question and answer with Kathy.
Okay. Yes.
If you have a radio, should you keep the batteries in it?
That's a very good question. I keep the batteries right next to it because the batteries can sometimes leak and then it would damage the radio and it would be unusable. So as long as they're really close by so you can put them in right away, I think that's an excellent idea. Yes.
And cycle the batteries as well.
Of course, everything in your kit needs to be cycled through, and batteries do go bad, so you need to replenish them. Like I said, what we do is we just rotate things through, and every once in a while I bring a new supply down and take the other stuff upstairs to be used.
You mentioned that we can drink the water from our water heater, and then on that same slide you also had those water purification tablets. Does the water heater require?
No. No, that's just two separate ideas. The question was if you need the water purification tablets for your water heater, and you don't. You should be able to drink it straight from the water heater. Now, in the case I mentioned earlier, where they had the water that you couldn't even boil, you wouldn't want to drink it from the water heater then, but otherwise it should be just fine. But if you were going to use sometimes even rainwater or melted snow, it might be a good idea to put one of those tablets in there. And you can find those in the camping aisle. Okay? Anybody else?
Okay, I've got to know, your, let's say your 1 or 2 favorite uses for duct tape.
Well, it's really good for sticking stuff together. So anything that needs to be stuck together. You know, sometimes if you have a leak in a plastic bag or something like that, you can fix it with that. And talking just for everyday use, I know we used to use it sometimes for the kids' swim rings. You know, put a piece of duct tape in there and it'll stand up to the chlorine water. But you could use it to, you know, make a sling or something like that, or just to wrap over something that maybe if you needed to make a splint for somebody and you didn't have anything that was really stout. Say you couldn't find a piece of wood or a piece of metal or something like that. You could just take strips of cardboard and wrap duct tape around them, and it would build the structure up enough to where it would hold a lot better. Good question. Yes?
When you were asking about whether there was a police officer or a firefighter, I was in the military, and we learned how to do first aid and CPR and all that kind of stuff.
That is an excellent point, because it's really good if you have people in your family that have that training. And then, for instance, myself, I have the CERT training, so I would be willing to go out and help in the neighborhood. So if you're willing to do that and go out and help other people, that is really wonderful, because what they told us in CERT training about that was when a big event happens, they assign certain priorities to things. And Public Works is going to be one of the first groups to be involved, because they're out there clearing the roads. And what they told us that I'd never thought about was that fire trucks and ambulances don't carry a spare tire. So they can't go out until those roads are cleared. And you may make it out to the end of your block and stand out there with that handkerchief trying to wave someone down, and here comes a police car, and he'll go right on by, because he's been assigned something to go do. One of the first places they're going to go in that event is hospitals, because they've got to get them up and running. And then they're likely to go to schools. So the neighborhoods, while they're important, are a little bit further down the list. And the guy's looking at you thinking, well, you're out there waving your hand, so you're probably okay. Now, you're probably doing that because someone else is not, but it's just important to know that. But thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for your service. Yes?
One thing you don't have on your list is a magic marker. You need a heavy magic marker.
Marker. Well, there are Sharpies on there. Now, I don't know if I put Sharpie on there per se, but that is an excellent point, because ink will run, pencil will run, and so you need that magic marker, and something that's very bold and that will stand out. So thank you for pointing that out. Yes?
One thing I think would be good for your kids is a hatchet. You use a hammer to cut wood or whatever.
That's something I don't have. Maybe I ought to consider it, because, you know, that's very true, because if you have these objects that are in the way, you could break through. You might even have to break out of your safe area. So that's an excellent point. Thank you. Yes?
Do public schools ever consider people in the community coming to meet up there? Would they ever be, is it part of their structure to be accommodating of that?
Well, a school might be designated as a shelter, but are you talking about like in the event itself that you could go to the school right away? I don't know that they would turn you away, but I would maybe check that out ahead of time to make sure that they would be ready for you, especially if school's in session and students are there, because they'll be doing their own thing too. It's really good if you can check things out ahead of time. If you have especially special needs, say someone in your family needed oxygen and you wanted to check out ahead of time, well, maybe not all of the shelters are going to have facilities or accommodations for that. You could check with the Red Cross and see what places would be most likely. And you could ask questions like that as to, well, what are the ones that are closest to me? You know, they may not be able to be used in that event, but at least you'd know what they were designated for originally. Yes, sir.
Okay, I know where to turn the water off, and I know where to turn the electricity off. Mm-hmm. Where do you turn the gas off? At the meter?
At the meter. It's outside your house, and it does take that big wrench. If you do turn the gas off for any reason, you don't turn it back on. You call the utility company to come out and do that. Very good question. Yes?
I didn't see any mention of a weather radio.
The radio actually pictured in my kit does have a weather band on it, but that might be something additional that you would want to have. A lot of people do have those, and you probably want to keep that in your main living space. So you might want to have two, but you want to have it to where you could hear it if something happened, but it would be a good idea to have that as well.
And not just a weather receiver, but the kind that will activate when
the storms go off.
Alerts come off.
Yes.
One side note, they can be annoying. We have one in our bedroom, but frankly, I'd rather be annoyed at 2 o'clock in the morning for a flash flood warning, turn it off, than to sleep through a potential tornado I didn't hear.
That's a very good point. A lot of this stuff can be annoying. You know, it's like, oh, gee, I got to go down there and see what the peanut butter is doing. You know, it takes some time and effort. It does. But then every once in a while, I go to the pantry and, oh, I thought I had more peanut butter than that, and I know I've got a supply down there, and I can go borrow one. There's nothing wrong with that. You go put it on your list, and you get it the next time. But yes, so excellent point. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
If somebody is elderly or disabled, is there any plan for them other than maybe just be in touch with a neighbor that knows their situation and can check on them? Or?
You know, that's an excellent idea. Know your neighborhood and who's in it, and if you have someone like that that doesn't have one with them all the time, that's good that you could be on call to help them if needed. They might want to make special arrangements to, ahead of time for that sort of thing. A lot of people, I know my mom has a neighbor in her neighborhood that has a basement, and she doesn't. And so she goes there if there's a tornado warning. They just unlock the back door, and, several of the neighbors go down there. So sharing this information is great because it helps other people be more aware, and you can help each other out. You can reciprocate in a lot of ways. Maybe taking care of someone's pets. Let's say that storm came through during the work day, and you know that your neighbor's at work, and you know they have a cat or a dog in the house. You might go over there and check on it like that. There are also some really good resources. You'll see them on the blog for special needs. Ready.gov is one of the best websites. It's connected to FEMA, but there's a separate FEMA site as well. And there are a lot of ideas and resources out there that you can get for special needs. One thing I don't think I've touched on yet is travel. And that is a question sometimes because, around here we know things like tornadoes and flash floods, that sort of thing. But let's say you're visiting California. You want to know what to do if there's an earthquake or a wildfire. Will you carry your kit with you all the way on the plane and out there? Well, I don't know. But if you're staying with friends or family, find out what their plan is. If you're staying in a hotel, find out what their emergency plans are. It's just good to be prepared ahead of time and think about those things. Anybody else? We've covered it all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I don't find this annoying at all. I find it fascinating. I had no idea that there were so many things. And I've taken some other training similar to this with Kathy before, and I learned new things tonight too. So I do want to reiterate that we at JCCC on October 14th are offering the 3CP2 training again. And I think you mentioned the phone number. I believe it's through Continuing Ed.
2323.
If you call our Continuing Education registration office, I'll give you that phone number right now. It's 913-469-2323, and you can tell them that you'd like to register for the 3CP2 training, and you'll get to hear more from Kathy because there's a lot more to learn, as you can imagine. So thank you again so much, Kathy, for being here. Are there any other questions that anyone wants to ask before we close for this evening? There are.
I just have a question about, this is kind of like a little bit far off what you talked about, but what happens if the dollar collapses, or there's martial law, or, you know, that kind of stuff. Do you have anything, like any seminars on that kind of thing, or?
There's nothing that I know about here at the college, but there is information out there. So I would just check online. And if by chance you don't have internet or don't use a computer a lot, go to your local library. They have a lot of information and they can steer you to things on that. There are all different levels of preparedness, and there are some people that are preparing for just that sort of thing. So if that's what it takes to get to your comfort level, that's fine. I would check it out and follow up. It's just not something that I've gone to that length yet. Good question.
Yes. Phone number again, please.
Yes, please.
Sure. 913-469-2323.
And to whom does that number go?
That goes to our Continuing Education Registration Office here at the college. Well, I want to thank Kathy again for putting together this amazing presentation. She worked really hard on it, and the tips and handouts that she gave us are great. I also want to thank our Carlson Center staff, our Vol Stars, who are our ushers tonight, our video production team, our backstage crew, and our marketing department here at the college. And I also want to point out Ann Hunt and thank her for her special work. She's on our event management team, and if you called or emailed to let us know you were coming, she's the one that took care of you. So thank you for everybody's help, and special thanks to Kathy Wing.
Thank you.
Hope to see you on November 12th for our Veterans Week.